Good afternoon. My name is Crystal Morel-Beck, and I'm applying for the role of Teacher of English at Academy 21. Um, so I'll go straight into a bit about my background. Teaching and delivering quality education has become an integral part of my life, pretty much for the last 10 years. I've worked in both primary and secondary settings. Initially, I started my journey to becoming a teacher by working in a local primary school as a one-to-one. And then I worked my way up to a role that was specialising in the English interventions at a local secondary school, which is where I am now, teaching. So, it was delivering interventions to those that were somewhat behind and allowed me to support the lower ability students and ultimately close that gap between them and their peers. It led to a more specialist position where I was working as a pupil premium mentor and really working with some of the most disadvantaged and vulnerable students. And this is where my passion truly lies. I worked closely with the heads of houses, the attendance officers, as well as SENDs, safeguarding, and other members of SLT, because all of that was very much part of this role. The role itself was incredibly rewarding, as I was able to make a difference to those students' lives and build them up. But I also developed this deeper understanding of what barriers disadvantaged students endure every single day, particularly with coming to school. And it's, taking those small wins, even just turning up to lesson, understanding what obstacles that student has had to go through to turn up, because that's a big deal for them. I then went on from this role to doing my teacher training, which I did during the pandemic, which brings me on to why I feel passionate about online teaching, because that's actually where I did my teacher training ultimately for the first 4 months, where I spent time online. It was working online that I realised it was such an accessible platform, particularly for students who couldn't go to mainstream school for whatever reason or struggled to get into school on those days. And it was really rewarding to be able to teach these students whose attendance might have been poor on a day-to-day basis, but on the online platform they found it far more accessible to get into than actually stepping into school. I then qualified as a teacher and took a year out before my ECT, where I was doing supply, and I found myself working in a PRU, and this was the biggest learning curve, and it gave me some of the best experiences, some of the toughest experiences, but some of the best experiences I had were working with kids in those PRU. And it's just having that belief in them and being able to help them access education and really breaking down those reasons why they couldn't go into a mainstream setting, but being able to give them that accessibility to their education, as well as the pastoral role that went with it and looking out for them. So this is where I really found my true passion. Once that supply role came to an end, I went to work in a mainstream school. We're in quite a deprived area, Paynton Academy, and there's a number of vulnerable students there. And although I really enjoy this, I find that my place in the teaching profession is really working with those students who may otherwise struggle getting into school and really making education accessible for them, being that friendly person on the end of the camera who's delivering their lessons to them. So ultimately, that is why I am applying for this role, because I truly feel that my values align with Academy 21's, and I think that there's nothing better than bringing education to students who may otherwise struggle to get into the setting. I've developed professionally through CPDs, so I attend regular CPD meetings at school where we've done safeguarding and SEN training, dyslexia, specialising in dyslexia. I've worked with a number of ASD students, and really trying to find those adaptive teaching methods to get them into the classroom. So this is a bit about me. I absolutely love my subject. I think English is absolutely accessible for everyone, but you need the right teacher to be able to do that. And so I really hope that you can consider my application, and I hope to hear from you in due course. Thank you very much for listening.